What was that you said about biometric forms of authentication, but it can be changed?
You can.
Because there are like ways that you can kind of change your appearance, like plastic surgery. I know this one guy who was paranoid about fingerprints on his iPhone, so he made fingerprints. And you can also get like digital tattoos as implants, so you can change like
Okay.
the appearance of your body. Those kind of strong ways of protecting your.
Well, if you're able to change your biometrics, then how is that a means of authentication? And I don't know, I have been hearing about biometrics ever since I started into the smart card world, and I've had 25 years of working in the smart card industry and doing everything from working the CAC and the PIV cards to the US Olympics to even the ID badge from Microsoft. I invented that for them, where it combined physical and logical together. So when you look at biometrics, one of the I don't say factors, but one of the criteria is a little thing called false acceptance and false rejection. From an authentication perspective, you've got the word false in the word, something's not right. Yeah, can you change your biometric? Well, I don't think you're going to, if you do an iris scan, I don't think you're going to pull your eye out and put in a new one. Can you change fingerprints? Yeah, but it's really painful and really expensive. And you could do the same thing with your face to a degree, plastic surgery. But then once you do that, you have to go through the hassle of re-enrolling yourself if you're going to get in. Now, what hackers are actually doing are creating templates, breaking into the system through other means, dropping those templates into the database of a company so that when they then go to a reader or something, they put their fingerprint down. It's like, oh, okay, we're in. I recognize your template, because there isn't the security that prevented that. We all heard about the Office of Personnel Management being hacked into, and the millions of employees of the government, both present and future and past employees, having their information stolen. The scary part about that is they did not steal a template. They stole the image of, let's say, a fingerprint. Now, in biometrics, there's a famous attack called the gummy bear attack. Are you familiar with that one? The gummy bear attack was where a fingerprint was lifted off of a bottle that somebody had. They took then photo etching equipment and they created a 3D model of the fingerprint. They then took the gelatin that is used in gummy bears, so that's how it got its name, pressed it against the etching to create ridges and all, and put it up to a reader. 98% of the time they got in. When you look at all the new things that are going on in biometrics, to go and check for a live finger, is it this kind of viscosity, all these different kinds of things that are going on, why are these things coming to play? It's because somebody broke them, broke the earlier stuff. So they have to come up with more and more expensive ways. So again, I don't criticize biometrics. It has its place, but you don't use it as your sole factor of authentication. Okay. Someone want to pass that, or he can come forward? Touchdown! Okay, yes. Behind you.
Hi, do you mind if I ask a non-technical question?
A what?
A non-technical.
By all means.
So I'm a college freshman, and I want to start my career in security, and I was wondering what's your best advice as for a beginner?
Say the last part again.
I was just asking what's your best advice for a beginner into starting a career in security?
The market right now is, can you spell cybersecurity? Somebody will hire I think it comes back down to you don't have to be an engineer, you don't have to be a programmer. There are opportunities for marketing people in cybersecurity to be able to get the message out. There are business people, salespeople that are needed to how to go and sell cybersecurity. If you leave it to the engineers, they're going to talk all the geek talk, and I love all the geek talk, and I can talk about elliptic curve cryptography and all the PKIs and everything else that you want, and I will put you all to sleep. So yes, there are other things, but you need to have enough of a basic knowledge of what cybersecurity is about, what the hackers are going after, why are they going after it, and how are some of the ways to protect it. So maybe you could even be an interface between engineering and management, so that you can help the engineers understand what they need to build, and then be able to report back up to management. This is what we're doing and why, and here's the business reason. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
Would you think it's better to go the business route or the programming route?
As an engineer, well, when I got out of engineering school and we were still building stuff with an engineer, you start off typically with a very high salary. And you have a few years of good growth with that salary. But guess what? You plateau off quickly. And you're not really going to make a lot unless you become a fellow or some other type of super engineer, super scientist type things where you got all these patents and stuff. So then the next path that you have to go down is probably that business side. If you start on the business side, you're not going to make a lot of money when you first start out. But then as you get sales and commissions and all, you can start growing that way. I started off as a mechanical engineer designing communication systems for submarines. Now, people would ask me, is it difficult designing for submarines? I said, no, I can make a boat sink just like that, no problem. The design problem is getting it back up. But I started off as a mechanical, then became an electrical, then became a quality assurance, and then became a systems engineer. I did that within 3 years because I understood every single aspect of what it takes to build something. That you need marketing, you need sales, you need QA, you need manufacturing, you need electrical, mechanical software, and be able to bring all of those disciplines together and be able to sit down on a round table with them and say, okay, for mechanical reasons, you're absolutely right, electricals, you make this change. Mechanicals are wrong, electrical is right, you make this change. So within 4 years in designing a system, I actually had rights that nobody else had at that company to sign off on documents for electrical, mechanical systems, quality, manufacturing, and I think there was another one. I could sign off on any drawing. So again, it's having an appreciation for what the other disciplines is. I remember my engineering professor saying that we're engineers, we're gods, and you will rule the world. Well, that's nice, but it doesn't work in the real world. You need systems, you need sales, you need marketing, you need legal. You have to learn to respect those other disciplines and know what they do. So if you can take some business courses as a minor or as an elective, take them.
By the way, because I'm actually giving a speech on that in a couple months to start your cybersecurity career, so if you want to talk afterwards, let me know. But I completely agree with your topic of how you really need that business aspect.
Get that back to her.
For your career.
Get that back to her.
If you can understand the technical concepts, but if you can't convey it to others in a way that they can understand, you're just lost. So both are important. So yay for business minors.
Yeah, I think there is definitely something to be said for this, because a situation in which many security experts often find themselves is they may be technically literate, and they are proposing viable and even business physical solutions, but they have to communicate with management, who unfortunately nowadays does not see cybersecurity as being a tangible benefit. One example that I can tell from my own experience, I was once talking to a manager from, I'm not going to name any names, but he basically told me, I mean, honestly, I think you guys are just paranoid. Okay, why should I be spending all those budgets on cybersecurity? Number one, I was never hacked before. Well, we were never hacked before. And number two, why would somebody hack us And number three, we got 10 other, more urgent priorities. So why are you such an alarmist? So I think, in order to communicate this kind of point, you really gotta have an understanding of the mindset of what management is. You may not necessarily need appreciation for it, but you do need at least to understand what makes them tick in order to speak their language. Another story I can share was when I was in a bus spectrum league. I tell the story a lot. I asked a startup founder, what kind of enterprise security solution do you use? They said, I don't think we need enterprise security. I said, oh, why would you say it? They said, well, we use Apple. So, I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous to us, but from their point of view, it may make perfect sense. They read somewhere that Apple is more secure than Windows, and that's enough for them. Yeah. So how do you get the message across to those people? I mean, I think you really got to understand what makes those people tick.
Okay, but what do you think is the average cost of a cyber breach now? To a company, per incident?
You're asking me?
Anybody, but yeah.
It depends about the scope of breach, it depends what kind of company you are, but very often it's in many millions.
Yeah. You see any numbers between $3 to $6 million per incident. It's about $150 to $210 per record that is stolen. Hacks are not usually discovered for over 200 days that they break in. Now, where does that number comes from? A company will say, hey, I don't do 200 million, or I don't do $4 million worth of business. How's that going to affect me? Okay, there are direct and indirect costs. The direct costs, you get hacked, you're going to get lawsuits. You're going to have to send out letters to all of your employees as well as your customers. You're going to have lawyers involved. You're going to have, maybe another direct cost was that it gets into the marketplace, your stock prices go crashing down. So again, these are kind of understanding the business side. Now you've got the indirect costs. Okay, you're going to have to go and hire now because you got fined by the U.S. government to be audited for the next year. And I heard a very scary thing just the other day when I was at a cyber conference that with all the hacks that are going on in the hospitals now for HIPAA and high-tech breaches, and the way HHS is fining hospitals for having poor security, they had decided that this is a moneymaker for them. This is a new revenue stream to fund their efforts. So they are now purposely targeting hospitals to do audits to hopefully catch them not having the right answer or the right questions so they can be hit with a $2 million fine. So again, these are the things that you need to let your management understand. Yeah, if I'm a business person, who wants my data? I'm a small business. How much money does it take over the last 10 years, 11 years to build my company to where it is today? And if I get hacked, I'm going to lose, guarantee, 30% of my customers, if not more. How much revenue is that to me? And how much did I spend to have those people as customers in the first place? All that went out the window. So those are the indirect costs. That's where, again, you understand the business.
I wanted to add something to that. You're asking, should I learn security? I would say every software developer must learn security. Because even if you don't get into the security area, you learn security, you will develop software more secure. Okay? So eventually, the people who are developing secure software will be higher. If you don't have knowledge about secure software, and you get into developer, you say, oh, I'm not in this area, so why should I know? That's a problem for you. Because if you develop something that eventually is the weakness of your software, of your company, you're in trouble. So that's number one. That's why I think everybody who are developing software must have knowledge of software, if that's what you think you are good. Another thing I want to add is the interrupters. Because people think, oh, if I'm hacked, I'm a victim of the security breach. Actually, if we don't secure the system, everybody is a victim. You understand what I'm saying? Credit card company, if they have costs they have to pay for security, where do they get the cost? Every customer. If they want They charge the customer. Everybody take a share. For this company to stay in business, they must have revenue. Okay? If they pay so much and they still stay in business, those money come from every customer. So everybody is a victim if we don't secure the system.
Very good, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's a really great point. And in the very beginning, when I was introducing the day, I mentioned that part of what we try to do in the Center for Cybersecurity curriculum development is ensure that we teach relevant security concepts in non-security courses. And the reason for that is it doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a web developer, it doesn't matter what you do. You've got to be aware of security in the same way that a doctor must understand hygiene. He's not a hygiene major, but he must understand it in order to get his work done. And just in the past month, we've seen many examples of. So we saw the hacking of the voter database, and that was because some web developer forgot to sanitize his input. We had a case where some big-time websites were taken down because a botnet of IP cameras and other IoT devices was hijacked. And IoT is a great example of that. Everybody is going crazy about how useful it is, all the novel applications. But people who are designing IoT, I think it's becoming very clear that we have by far not gotten the security design of IoT yet. And I think what we've seen is only the beginning. I think more is to come.
In the political realm, I'm not getting political, don't worry, I don't. We've all heard and seen the stuff about WikiLeaks and all the emails that are coming from Podesta. Do you know one of the way they got in to get at his emails? Somebody in his staff received an email that looked like it came from Google saying that somebody is trying to get into your account. You need to reset your password. Click here. They did. It was a virus. It was a company that went in and was able to get the new passwords and change it because the secretary or whoever did it changed all the passwords. And they didn't know that that was a bogus attack. That's how great these hackers are in making stuff look legitimate.
And some of the attackers are part of the advanced persistent threat groups, which are state-sponsored attackers. We're talking about teams that are being paid by the government, and they consist not of just expert hackers, but they actually would have, for example, accountants who would analyze the stolen or exfiltrated information in order to give hackers a better idea whether we should continue mining this system for more stuff or whether we should go somewhere else. So, and they use some very sophisticated techniques. I'm going to mention Stuxnet because Stuxnet was it was I don't use the word beautiful, but it was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece on how it spread and how shallow it started and how deeply it actually went. But we have progressed a lot since Stuxnet, and now we see those kinds of attacks more and more. We have firmware infections, we have hardware infections. So when a company realizes that it was breached, it's not just a matter of reformatting the system. Sometimes they actually have to throw away physical equipment because they don't know how deep the penetration actually went. And of course, that goes into the multi-million dollars of the breach money that goes into it.
There was a interview that was done by the FBI, and he was being asked about the ransomware and the cost and all, and saying, what should we do about it? And while they trying to backpedal from it, the engineer or the agent said, pay it. It's cheaper for you to pay it than it is to go and try to reverse engineer who did it.
And that was a very controversial claim. I mentioned this before, but when I was at the OECBC Cybersecurity Task Force, a speaker brought up that point, and he was trying to say that it doesn't matter how badly you need the files, just don't pay. Because if you do pay, they will come back for more. And they come back for more.
Yes.
We are a public university, so public to have access to attack us. And we have zillions of different solutions, and we have shoelace budget. What would you say we should spend our money to secure our information?
You're never going to be 100% secure, first of all. So understand that. And we used to go and talk about there were two kinds of groups. There was ones that had been hacked and ones that haven't been hacked. Then it became the ones that have been hacked and the ones that are trying to be hacked. Now it's the ones that have been hacked and the ones that didn't know that they had been hacked. So the best defense that you can really do is that you put up enough barriers, and you have to understand who the hackers are. What are they after? Why are they after it? How are they going to use that information? Segment your information, your data. Don't put every single piece of data in the same server. If you're doing a grant to go and monitor and test a particular drug, you put that data someplace else where it's super secure, and you put the firewalls around that. So you don't have to go and put the same firewalls around your marketing data sheets and marketing material that you're sending out to the public. Because if you make things too burdensome on the IT to have to look at everything, they're going to have everything go through, and it's going to be really hard. But the trick is you have to put up enough barriers so that the thief gets tired of trying. It's too much work, it's too much effort. I know I say this and some people say I shouldn't, but I'm going to say it anyways. A lot of these hackers are really good business people because they're looking for the time and return on their investment in money. And that's how they think. So if it's going to take them years to break it, they'll go someplace else and they'll find someplace else that's easier to get into. Having multi-factor authentication, I think, is one of the key things. We've done this for a number of universities. It actually lowered their help desk costs. So these are kinds of the things you want to do. The encryption is important, but you don't need to encrypt your marketing material or your catalog. You need to encrypt certain things. You have partitions in your files, things like that. Having policies that don't allow people to download information onto a thumb drive or onto their laptop and take it home. So the first thing is understand the threat and who's doing it and how to prevent it. Is this useful? Am I being helpful? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, I have a question about the IoT. How do you suppose we should defend against that? Because passwords, let's take for Alexa, that really doesn't make sense. I don't know if you guys know what Alexa is. It's Amazon Dot. You just hit a button and then their AI comes on and you order stuff from Amazon. Would you say a passphrase? Because there's no input besides your voice.
And this is where the big problem is. And this is where a lot of the companies are trying to get their products out faster and first to market. And so by adding in security is going to slow that down. They will go and stop it. And this is where you have to go and emphasize to a company in business terms why they need it. How does that device authenticate itself to the system? That's where it needs to begin. You don't necessarily need the person. One of the things about passwords, people seem to think that passwords has to be something that's in your head. No, it doesn't. Private keys are not in your head. You don't know them. You don't know the biometric templates. So start using technology as the something it knows. So you can have that something you know, but then you can go through the system where the next layer of authentication is something the system knows and put in there. So having that type of authentication of that Amazon device, and that thing scares me too. I don't have one of them. Now, am I paranoid? Yeah. Having these refrigerators that can monitor what's in there. Hackers are breaking into that to see, wait a minute, that milk is 2 weeks old. They might not be home. And so they're using that way. These baby cams and these other cams are going inside your home so you can monitor your home. Hackers are breaking into that and they can see, okay, nobody's home. I can break into it. I was doing a radio show one time talking about identity theft protection and what's going on, and we had a 3-minute break. And in the 3 minutes, I went online, and then I got back online, I was talking to the host of the radio show. I said, so, I see your last 4 digits of your social security number is this, your driver's license is this. Oh, you got a speeding ticket in Arizona 12 years ago. Oh, look at your driveway. I see your car, and you got some woods behind you, and all these other things. And he started to laugh, and he goes, well, how many hours did that take? And I said, how long was that commercial break? He said, 3 minutes. I had it in 2. Because of all the tools that are out there. I mean, I go to Google Maps and satellite, I look down, I can see his house. I go to these places because of public information. I can get all this information. The hackers know all of this. So when you're going on Facebook and you're going to the different places, I don't put my real birth date down there. Nobody needs to know my birthday. And all this information you put in your profile, who really cares? You do, I agree with that, but think about it outside. Who really cares? But you're going to go and use a password as your dog's name, and then you put on Facebook, oh, I want you to look at my dog's Fluffy. Well, wait a minute, your password is Fluffy. These are the tools, the way they get in. This is very, very simplistic stuff. And some of the hackers are very, very simplistic. They don't really go into the nation-state type stuff. But think about when you put information on the internet, and I know we've all said it over and over, especially those old timers are telling the young kids, you know, this is a billboard. Anything you put out there is going to be out there for life, and you don't know how it's going to be used against you. So please think about twice, 3 times before you put information out there about yourself.
And also, you mentioned about IoT. I'm not really worried if somebody breaks, into my smart fridge and finds out that my milk went sour. But one thing I do worry about, if that fridge happens to be, for example, in my company office, that fridge can be used as an entry point into the company network. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it could be much more thinner milk that ends up going bad.
So as a question that adds on top of that, do you think that because some of these Internet of Things devices, like smart fridges or like baby monitors that have like a Wi-Fi connection or anything like that, because they can be compromised maybe easily to get further into whatever the hacker cracker wants from you, do you think that they will stop being produced, that you'll stop seeing them being sold? Or do you think that they'll just continue to be made?
Oh, it's going to be continuing because what's driving it is commerce, what's driving it is user convenience. I mean, we live in a very complex digital age of all this information that we have access to, and how do you get access to it, and trying to make our lives easier because we're running around all over the place. So having that refrigerator that tells you when you need to get milk, that can be a great convenience for somebody. So it's not going to go away. The trick is that cybersecurity engineers, when you are developing this equipment, to go and think security and push for security to be in place in that. When you have the Samsung television and they put in their agreement now, do not stand in front of the TV and talk credit card information, personal information, and all these other things because we're listening. So no, it's not going to go away. It's just going to get worse, but we have to go and start really thinking of security as, instead of being an afterthought, to be up front and in there. And we're seeing more and more companies now who are actually putting in the CSIOs onto the board. But not enough. Anybody else? Did you get a shirt already? Okay. Yes, I do. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right, I think that's it. I think my time's up, so I hope it's helpful.
Thank you so much, Al. You were very resilient